Okay, we're back. So sorry about that, guys. So I'm gonna share this out real quick. Videos. Hope y'all doing well. Going live today. Just wanted to check in with you. This is the take 2 because my camera was okay, so another lesson learned when I was filming this with the GoPro. It wanted to save the live, and because it wanted to save the live, when the SD card ran out of memory, because I didn't have a lot of memory, because I didn't think I was saving it, it killed the live, guys. So I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna let you guys file back in. The bad habit of doing that. So we're learning though. We're learning. So let me get this going. Okay, let me get this going. Sorry guys. How you doing, Sweet Acres Koi Farm? This is take 2, so we're just getting started. I thank you for coming in. Fever Dream Animation. So you guys are filing in now, so I appreciate that. I'm just gonna send out a text real quick to some people. All right, and we're gonna get this thing started. I'm so sorry guys for that rookie mistake. We were just talking about rookie mistakes. We'll get back into it in just a minute. All right, so okay. All right, so hopefully you guys will find me anyway, but we were talking about the lessons that we learned from Sunday. I was talking about how when I was live streaming 4 hours, this came in handy, this Pocket Juice 20,000 milliamp hour battery, and how I killed it. I'm gonna have to get another one, how it's a good idea to have it. We talked about my other battery backup, this guy right here. We were talking about that. You want to go see it, I guess go see part 1, and we'll but that's basically it. And then we were using the wide angle lens. The wide angle lens, I think that's what I was talking about. Was that what I was talking about, guys? So instead of shooting the cars in linear, because when they're drifting like that, you know, you want to see the detail. Now wide angle is great when you're looking at me, you can see everything behind me, but we wanted to shoot it in linear, and I had it set on wide angle, so you probably missed a lot of the details that I was pointing out and things that I was talking about, and I apologize for that, but we're going to do better next time. Just like the stream dying here, you know, just rookie mistake. But so in a minute we're going to talk about the dead internet theory, some things having to do with that. That's really what I wanted to talk about today, and we'll get into that in just a minute. So let me make sure that we're good to go. Let me know in the chat if you could see me. Fever Dream Animation, how you doing? Sweet Acres Koi Farm, welcome in. All right, cool. So I hope everybody will be able to find the stream. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So I'm gonna talk about the internet and how there's so much information out there. I mean, there's so much information, guys, but there's so little information at the same time. It's like a crazy thing, man. And this ties into the dead internet theory. This ties into my video that I did on information bubbles, and all of that good stuff. So essentially what I want to do is we're gonna talk about that. I suggest you go look at that information on that video on information bubbles, how we're all kind of in our own little information bubble, and you create your own information bubble to some degree along with the algorithm. But there was a time when the algorithms didn't exist. So when I was growing up, the internet was you could go and find the information that you're looking for in forums and things like that. So car forums, my first car, I had a forum, it was mx6.com, and it was MX6 was my first car, a Mazda. I'm just using that as an example. You could go to that forum and you could get direct information on that car, because YouTube really didn't exist at that time, and so you weren't being able to go and just watch videos on somebody taking a transmission out, or somebody doing, you know, a tune-up, whatever it is at your level of what you needed help with. You would go to the forum, you would get a Haynes manual or whatever it was, and you had information. It was kind of like solid information that you could work from. And people BS'd back then a lot in real life, like especially with cars. You know, guys would say stuff like, you know, this car's running 10 seconds, quarter mile, but they didn't have the time slips. Or they would say this, you know, I'm pushing 300 horsepower in this engine or whatever. And you look at it and you find out nobody's really pushing 300 horsepower in the engine, because that connecting rods in that engine don't hold up to 300 or whatever. You know, you get what I'm saying. Without all of the information being there on YouTube, or, you know, and no, people aren't experts and whatnot, people could get away with that kind of thing. Now, I remember I was growing up at the time, and we had the internet, we had these forums, and I thought about it, and I was like, this is the end of the era of BSing like that, because that information is out there and you can kind of get it. And now we do see that in the car community, especially. The information is out there. So there's BS, but it's a different kind of BS, right? Fast forward, obviously, to today, there's tons and tons more data on the internet. It's all over the place. There's just information everywhere. Now, this ties in to the dead internet theory, because one of the principal things about that, from what I understand, and I'm just looking into this, guys. I could look. I'm going to be looking more into this, and we can get a video going that has a lot more in-depth information as far as the dead internet theory. Let me send a text here real quick. But a lot of the information that we're seeing out here, guys, is bots. So somebody did a study, and it was like in 2013 or 14, and this, even at that time, half of the traffic on the internet was bots. So it wasn't even real. So it wasn't even real. That was half of it. That was in 2013, 14. We're in 2024 now. We're going into 2025. I would say that most of the information is probably bots, right? Most of the stuff we're looking at is not even real people. So what kind of impact does that have? We have so much information flooding us every day. Every day there's new news stories and new things like that. But it's not even, a lot of it's not even real. It's repeat, or it's AI generated, or it might be news, but it's just information overload. Now, I think we need to come up with some solutions, guys. Now, I don't really have a technical solution. The only solutions that I have is, obviously, it's in the mind. I think your best enemy, or your enemy is your enemy can be your mind, or your best friend can be also the fact that you're able to discern what the truth is from what you're seeing. Also, what are you looking for? If you're looking for information on how to fix your car, and a news article pops up, and now you're looking at the news article, you're just wasting time, right? You're not actually figuring out how to fix your car, or how to fix your house, or something like that, right? So we're basically being robbed of our effectiveness out here because of all this information. And so with the dead internet theory, for example, another part of it is there used to be something called car domain. And I had a car domain. It was basically where you could make a magazine article of your car, a little page for your car where you just did a write-up, and you could talk about the modifications, and you had pictures in there, and the make and model and all of that stuff having to do with your vehicle. And you know, but everybody could do it. So on car domain, you could search, like mine was a 1996 Mazda MX-6. You could search that, boom, 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 and you could see all the 1996 Mazda MX-6s. You could get inspiration this way by looking at the modifications that people had done, or, you know, just kind of looking at the paint jobs and colors and different things like that. And it was really cool. And also it was cool because you could say, hey, this is my car. So you could link it to, I think MySpace was there. Maybe you could link it to that, things like that. But so car domain does not exist anymore, guys. My page for my Mazda is not there. It's not there. It's just not there. I don't even know if you can get it from the Wayback Machine. I'm not even sure about that. If somebody wants to try that, let me know how that goes. My point being, there's a lot of information that was more concrete then. It was submitted by human beings, not by bots, not by AI. That kind of information is going away. We had forums, and I talked about the car forums, but there was forums for all kinds of things. And these were 99% real people putting actual information. Now, some of it may have not been 100% factual, but for the most part it was, because you had people really just trying to do the best they could to share information about things they were passionate about. So I think that we really need to start pushing for going back to searching for this information on a better level, like, and getting away from maybe the news feeds that, you know, and I know YouTube is run off of a feed, right? You have the feed, that's probably how you saw the stream, or this video. It's in your news feed, it's in your suggested videos, things like that. I feel like we can customize that. I mean, the algorithm is what it is. I don't know the agenda behind the people who make the algorithms necessarily, but I do believe we can actively, if you're actively thinking about how to customize that feed, you know, by searching for certain things on purpose to manipulate that algorithm in your favor. It's a concept that I've been playing around with, and I tell my kids this because, you know, they're going to be having to deal with this for a long time. So is there things that we can do to work with the algorithm, or I guess work within the algorithm to make it optimized for us? And I think you can. I mean, you look at health foods, you know, exercise, diet, finance, things like that. There's a whole world of that stuff that you can cue in. But what I've noticed and experienced over time is it floats, you know, like the amount of information that you're getting from one thing or another, it kind of changes quickly. I mean, it can be kind of quickly. If I start looking at car stuff more, right, then I start getting cars, or like during politics, during political times, the election's over, right? I'm still seeing some political stuff because I do follow it enough that they're like, well, maybe this guy wants to listen to this political pundit or this political pundit, and I really don't. To be honest, guys, I'm trying to get obviously out of that. I mean, we talked about it before the election. I'm trying to get away from the political talk so that we could get into the actual things that we do every day. Not that politics isn't important on some level, but I don't believe that politicians are going to save your life or my life, you know, specifically. So for me, it's like more like, if I need to get my car fixed, I need to fix my car. If I need to fix something in my house or whatever, I need to be able to do that. That's more important than seeing the news articles that politicians pop up. So just working with the algorithm and try to like search for enough things that are helpful in our life that kind of put us on a path that is the one we want to be on, rather than just getting pulled around by the algorithm, which is kind of inevitable to some degree when we're on these platforms, I think. So I want to know what you guys think of that, and if you have any solutions that you've thought about having to do with that kind of thing, with manipulating the algorithm for your own usage. But another thing I was thinking about is, obviously, and I mean, this is an obvious one, you know, take some time to get away from the phone. Go for a walk and leave the phone at home, or just turn it off. If you think you need it for emergencies, just turn the phone off, right? And then just go for a walk. I think that can work wonders, because then you get back into your frame of thinking. You might be seeing things that are, you know, around you that you wouldn't be seeing if you were just looking at the phone. I'm in the city here in Raleigh right now, and when I'm driving around, I see people all the time, and it's good that they're out walking and exercising. And I do it too. I'm guilty of this, by the way, guys. I'm guilty of this too. But when we're walking and exercising, a lot of times we go for a walk and we bring the phone, and we're listening to some content or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. You might be walking right now listening to this, but what I'm saying is, every now and then, it might be a good idea just to turn the phone off completely, at least so we get back to a baseline and kind of just bring it back into where we're at. Because this dead internet thing, it's not just that there's pages that don't exist anymore of actual information that humans put out that was probably good information. It's that there's a ton of information that's just fake, fabricated, or repeated over and over and over again. All right, so let me look at this real quick. Let me look at the chat and see how you guys are doing. I'll check in with you guys. Kristen, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Fever Dream, I think I said hey to you, but if I did not, what's up? Michael, how you doing? I'm glad you're back. Glad you found the stream. I've watched a load of reactions, but nothing about politicians. It's all a puppet show. Yeah. Hey Kendra, how you doing? All right, so yeah, so turning the phone off, just going for a walk, probably a good idea, right? In that case, that's what I would think. And there's got to be some other solutions, right? So I mean, I think going back to books, reading books, audiobooks. Let me know in the comments if you do audiobooks or if you would rather read a book, like hold the book in your hand and read it, or do you like doing audiobooks? I'll go and tell you, I like doing audiobooks because I'm driving all the time, and so I can, like, in a couple days I can knock out a book, no problem, a pretty good sized book, listening to it, driving around, make money, and listening to a book. So I like it for that reason. I think audiobooks are good. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but different people process things differently. So some people get a better ability to process the book when they're reading it. For me, I'm an auditory learner. I'm a mixed, but largely leaning towards auditory, so I can listen and hear the book and really grasp it. So it's fine for me. But if you're not like that, probably it's better that you read the book, right? So let me know in the chat which one you prefer. Do you like to listen to books on audio, or would you rather read a book? But books are good. I think they're good because it's real input from real people. Now, in the future, they may be AI written books, actually, you know, so you got to think about that. I mean, some of the books on Amazon right now could have been scripted mostly using AI. There's some that are probably out there that are like that, so that's something to think about as well. But if you go back a few years, you know, go back to books written in the 90s and earlier than that, then you know that's not the case, right? You're dealing with real information from a real human being. So yeah, we'll probably come back to that theory, like audiobooks, because I can listen and do something. That's right. I mean, that's kind of how I am. I understand that not everybody's like that. I still love to read a book. Yeah, I mean, look, it's good to sit down with a book and read it. But for me, I don't know, my eyes don't like it, and like I said, I'm driving all the time, so I might as well. I've read a lot of books, or listened to a lot of books over the years of driving every day and listening to books, and I think it's a big benefit if you can do it. And if it's the difference between not reading the book and reading the book, then you should do it, right? But anyway, so let me know what you guys think of the dead internet theory. I'm just getting into it. I'm breaking into it right now. I may do an actual full video on it, on just the dead internet theory, as far as the details of it, the history of things. I'm trying to think, you know, the dead internet theory, it's because when you think about it, you think the internet's gone. What it is like the internet. I've heard it said that the internet is more like a empty, like a balloon or something like that. Like, it's huge, right? It looks huge, so much information, but so little of it's useful. So it would be nice to get back to it if we created forums, if we created websites. But is anybody going to actually go to those websites? You know what I mean? Is the algorithm going to send the person to the website? I know a lot of people that actually have websites. But even myself, I'm less inclined to actually go to that website than their social media, right? The social media is right there. You can click on it. It's on a platform that you're on every day. The website, it's a step away from that. Another part of it is that phones, it depends on what device you're on. So phones and computers are going to see different, they're going to see things differently. They're going to be suggested differently, the information that you get, and things like that. So that's another thing to think about. What device are you using on a daily basis? Are you a cell phone person? Are you a PC person? Do you use a little bit of both? And if you use both, do you notice a difference in your news feed, on your social medias, the way the comment sections look, any of that stuff, right? What kind of news you're actually getting? That's something to think about too, because it depends on the device that you're using. All right, I'm gonna check the chat. It annoys people when they say read a book instead of saying I listen to a book, but honestly it doesn't matter. Yeah, look, yeah, I know, and I do that all the time. I say I read this book. Okay, I have taken in the information that the book had. I listened to the audiobook, but I get what you're saying, and I know it kind of takes away from when somebody does put the time and effort into reading the book, because it probably does take a little bit longer, and it probably is a little bit more effort to read the book than to do the audiobook. But you know, it definitely takes attention to retain the information in the book. Computer, phone, and tablet, they're all different. Yeah, I don't use tablets a lot. I use the phone a lot because I'm always mobile. In the mobile command center today, guys. This is the $800 Pontiac. We're back in this car again today. But yeah, so I have a laptop in here with me. Well, it's actually a Chromebook, but it does the desktop webpage. And then I have the phones. So mostly I'm seeing things through the phone, and then I see things through the desktop when I'm able to sit down. Like I have the laptop, I have the Chromebook. It's not a laptop. That may work more like a tablet than it, but it does give me the desktop. So I think it's gonna work more like a PC. So I have that because I'm stopped and I'm stationary. But if I'm on the go and I'm walking or whatever, I got the phone. So it just depends on that what you're gonna see. Also, I mentioned in the other live stream that just knocked out because I didn't set it up right. I am learning, guys, on the live stream stuff, but I did mention that from Sunday's live stream, when we did those interviews, it's like almost every time I interviewed somebody, the stream would cut out, and I hate that. So if you didn't catch that live stream, I'm just gonna let you know right now. If you go back to that 4.5 hour stream, in the comments, Hill G Car Drawings is a YouTuber. That's Peyton. Go show him some love. Let him know that I sent you to his YouTube channel. And then SC Filmed It. It's just like it sounds. The letter SC, then Filmed It. He's on Instagram and YouTube. Go check him out. And then Buckaroo Bonsai BMF. I have a video that's about 1.5 minutes long of me in his car with him drifting and stuff, and his information is linked into that. But I will try after the stream for the replay crew, just like I said on that last one, I'm going to try to put those guys' information in there because I wanted to share their information, but the stream was cutting out because of connectivity issues. So just throwing that out there. I wanted to throw that out there while I'm looking at the chat and hanging out with you guys. Appreciate you all being here. Got 8 people here. That's awesome. Fever Dream Animation prefers the movie version. But they don't make movie versions of all the books, so that's the downfall of that. I know what you're saying, though. Movies are what, and you would, right? Because you're the animation guy. Fever Dream, you make some crazy animations too, by the way. Very entertaining. Yeah, but they don't make movies of all the books. That's the thing about books. And some books are more information type oriented, right? Like I read information oriented books because they're kind of boring, but to some people, but they're not for me, right? So I understand why you wouldn't read them or you wouldn't listen to them. But I like, if I want the information, then I'll listen to it because it's exciting to me, because it's gonna have a function in my life. I'm learning something, right? I'm learning something that's going to help me, hopefully, in my life. So that's why I get interested in that. But they would never make a movie out of those books. They might make a documentary or something. And it would basically just be like a big book review, right? Okay, so something I thought about with the dead internet thing is if you look at, so all the information we're losing, it is possible, and I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but it is possible if you went away from books altogether, for example, since we're talking about books, that all of the information that's compiled on the internet would eventually be the thing that we looked at to determine what history is. And if that is the case, and if books are phased out and eventually don't make it, or at least most of them, then it's going to be extremely interesting to see if history is just completely manipulated. And I'll tell you that I have seen it to some degree be manipulated. So in the early 2000s, I was that guy. We were on the internet, and the internet was, like I said, it was more of things that were, hey, how you doing? There was things that were put on the internet by people, actual people. Some of it was BS, some of it was not. A lot of it was not. But that was also the beginning of the truther movement. It wasn't the beginning, but it was the blow up. Now this is going to be interesting. So the truther movement started, you know, a long time, obviously, probably at the beginning of the internet, but when we say that, we probably think about like 9/11, and we think of that whole thing, and there was all these theories around it. And I'm not going to get into those theories. I'm not going to get into those theories today, but there was a lot of theories around it, like what happened, who did it, you know, who knew it was coming, who owned the rights to the building, who was renting the building. A lot of different stuff, right? A lot of information out there. Well, that information is not really there today. And I don't know if I can even talk about this on YouTube anymore, but I'm gonna, whatever, we're gonna go for it, right? So Building 7, a lot of people don't know about Building 7 that are young today, that were maybe not even born at that time. And I talk to people and I say, you know, it's crazy how Building 7 just came down. And we will get into this part of it, because it's a fact that Building 7 was demolished on that day. And it's something that happened, and it's almost like we have this, it's crazy how things can happen to us as a culture, as a society, and they happen right in front of our eyes, and then it's almost like we just kind of don't talk about it, because we don't know what to say about it, because it's kind of like, wow, it doesn't make any sense. But Building 7 did get demolished, and it was pretty far from the other buildings, and so we kind of know it didn't have anything to do with the airplane. And I'm getting into kind of probably dangerous waters here with this subject matter, but a lot of young people now, and I say kids, I mean people like in their 20s and younger, don't know about Building 7. They just don't. It hasn't been presented to them in an information set to where they are seeing, wait, that's kind of an anomaly, that's kind of weird, you know, and we don't know what to think about it. Like, I'm not saying what it is or what happened or whatever. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm talking about in this video. What I'm saying is that things have been put up on the shelf. Information has been put up on the shelf. Things that people used to talk about, and it is not being talked about anymore. Now, it might be being suppressed by the algorithm. It could be that you're not allowed to talk about it, and maybe this video gets taken down just because I did talk about it. But that kind of stuff was all over the internet back then, and some of it was probably BS. I'm not gonna dispute that, but some of it might have had a kernel of truth in it. This was in the era after the Bill Coopers, if you're familiar with that, who that was. And then like the Alex Jones, and I know you're familiar with who that is, probably. If you're on the internet, you know who that is. Maybe you don't have like an intimate knowledge, but you've probably seen him on the news at least, right? Okay. Which is questionable. And I'll just be real, like on Alex Jones, it's questionable as far as, like he said a lot of things that other people didn't want to talk about, and it was true, but how many things he said that were not true that kind of poisoned the well, so to speak, I don't know. And I don't know if that was the whole operation or if that's just a side effect of just talking and talking and talking all the time like that. But that was all going on at the time too. And it's almost, and I bring AJ up because that's part of the reason that the regulations, I don't know if it's the reason, but they used that dude as a target to target what people could say and what people couldn't say. Almost like saying like a supplement, it's good for this or it helps with that. You can't say that. You can say that, you know, it is believed that, or whatever. There's like other wording that you can use, but you can't say, well, this supplement can cure this disease or whatever, right? You can't make those claims because you're making medical claims. Same thing with old AJ, right? He was saying things, and some of the stuff he was saying was absolute. Turned out that a lot of that stuff in the early 2000s was actually true. It does turn out that a lot of it was true, but some of it probably wasn't. How much of it wasn't, and it got people in trouble or led people off into some other left field thing that isn't really going to do you much good in life, I don't know, right? But a lot of the information that was running around at that time having to do with health, having to do, so it's not just, you know, conspiracy stuff, but it was like health, things like that. It's gone. You can't get that information. You can't look for it. I'm gonna check the chat. Remove books, wait, then turn the internet off. Humanity would go back to the Stone Age again. Laughing out loud. The chemicals in the water with the frogs. They're making the freaking frogs gay. That's true. Fever dream, and it is actually. I think what was the chemical? I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember. Something zine. But it was true. It did turn out to be true. And it was like reducing the testosterone in the frogs or something. Yeah, it's true. A lot of that crazy stuff, and it sounded crazy, it was absolutely true, right? But that doesn't detract from some of the, you know, they say if you're gonna like tell a lie, you would do it in like 10%. The lie would only be 10%, 5-10% of it. The truth would be 90%. And I'm not claiming this about Alex Jones or whatever. I'm not saying that necessarily this is the case, because I really don't know. He could have just messed up a few times, for all I know. I don't really know. I am simply saying that you got to be careful, and we have to use discernment. But it does turn out that a lot of that stuff was true. Now, the way I think, and my way of looking at this thing is, you can assess that information in such a way that you can get usable information out of it. And I don't want to use the word fact check, because fact check has been completely butchered too, but you yourself can do your own research and determine for the most part. Now, if it's some clandestine operation that somebody's talking about and it's obscure and there's only 2 references to it on the internet, you don't really have the intel to actually do that research. But if we're talking about the chemicals in the water turning the frogs gay, right? Like, and it sounds crazy, but you could do that research and find out that that is the case, that it is in fact true, that it's not as crazy as it sounds, but it does make a crazy meme, right? It does make a crazy meme that works the same as soy does in humans. That's true. Fever dream. Soy does do that. It's not good for you. Lowers testosterone. It's dangerous. It's in a lot of products. So the chicken tenders and the chicken nuggets and things like that, they got soy in there as part of the I guess it's like soy protein. They probably use it to bind all that ground up meat and then everything else that's in those chicken tenders, which I don't know what all's in them, and I'm not going to say a specific brand because I'm not going to box myself into that. They'll be coming after me. But like, once again, you can do your research, but soy is in a lot of things, and it's really not good for us to eat soy. That's true. And I don't know if animals eat soybeans, but it's possible that they're eating the soy as well. But I would have to do some research on that. Somebody like Kristen would probably know more about that than I do. But yeah, just like that. And if you come out with information about that, you can be suppressed, and they can say, well, that's not necessarily the case, or you can't prove that, or whatever, until, of course, the paper comes out. And then you have to really work hard, and then most people don't have that attention span. And I think that's the battle that we're kind of fighting. You know, everybody is on their own level. Some people don't even know they're in a type of a warfare that's like coming at them hard, with the internet changing, with the internet giving you the information that you are supposed to see, right? Because the difference between now and back in the day is, you used to search for the thing that you wanted. You searched for the internet for the thing you wanted, and you found these websites, you found these forums. It wasn't on a social media feed. The algorithm didn't really even exist in its the way it does today back then, you know? And so you kind of got what you were looking for the most part. The search engines were not as manipulated, and then the search results, you know, were more accurate. It was more basically trying to match you up with the information that you had. But now that is even almost impossible because of all of the AI information, the bot data that's just thrown. A lot of the users on the social media platforms are not even real. And so, you know, you might be commenting with somebody, and then there's a bot in there, and it's like, you know, and you say something like, Okay, this is not a conversation I would have. I'm just going to make a conversation up like, you know, Trump 2024, and then the bot might say something like, felons for whatever, felon, something blah, blah, blah. And it's just to make that person mad. And then that person, now you're in an argument about whether the guy's got felonies or not, or whether he's been charged, or whether he's been indicted, or whether he's doing time, you know, like whether it could be the president or not. It becomes a big thing, and bots do that. A lot of those people are not even real, right? And they're not even people, really. They're just user accounts that are tied to bots. So, such a great topic. I've been doing lots of nodding over here as you talk. Well, I appreciate that, Kendra. You know, it is a great. I mean, listen, it's a topic that is so, I think, important that I don't even know if I can talk about some of this to this degree. I'm having to dance around some of the subject matter because. Like I don't even know. I brought up Bill Cooper earlier. I don't even know if I can do that. You know, I think he might have been in the same boat as AJ, but he might have been in a different kind of level of it. Like, I don't know how witting he was with it because he wanted to bring the truth. And he had this show called Hour of the Time. You can go look it up, but you can't really find it on YouTube that much because it used to be on YouTube, but it's not. It's been, a lot of that stuff's been removed. Just like if you search for AJ, right? The things that are going to come up are going to be the things they want you to see, like the top things. If you just go search for AJ on YouTube, you're gonna find like news articles about him and things like that, of people talking about Homeboy, but you're not gonna see him actually talking. So that's been completely like changed up, man. That's been manipulated for sure. So it just makes you wonder, and you could see that and you realize how much that's manipulated. It makes you wonder how much the rest of it's been manipulated, right? And then what's gonna happen when the internet just completely, like I said, when they get rid of all of that stuff from the early 2000s. There's still some stuff that's still out there. You could still technically go to the Wayback Machine. You might be able to look at some of it, but I heard that was even being manipulated too. Let's go ahead and check the chat. I hope y'all are doing well. I appreciate y'all being here with me. I just figured I would go live today because I was thinking about these things. I was like, you know what, I want to see what the internet has to say, like my people on the internet has to say about this, because yeah, if I asked the internet what I had to say, I might get some videos about it, but then again, you never know. So let me just look back and see if I missed anything. But I do appreciate y'all being here. I got a load of hate for bringing up offshore wind farming, and it's linked to the extinction of the whale and orcas. Yeah, so I looked that up. I think Trump brought that up on a Rogan, and that's the first time I had heard of it. Interesting, right? And I looked it up and it's real. So it affects their maybe it's the echolocation that they use, you know, the or something. I don't know much about whales, but if maybe you do, Fever, just let me know in the comments how it works. But I remember I read a little bit about it. It's real. It's not a fake thing. He's not bringing up something fake. The windmills apparently are really bad for the environment. So they do kill birds. They do look like crap. They do create a lot of waste. They don't produce a lot of energy on a regular basis. You have to have the wind blowing for them to work. And apparently they rust up. Well, I don't know if the actual windmills are made of something that rusts, but the components go bad over time, probably because they're out there in the wind, right, in the elements. And so then you end up with like windmills parts and stuff that you can't do anything with. So it does seem to be like a pretty wasteful way to create and produce energy. It was odd. Was it odd that you were getting hate for bringing that up, or was it odd that it happens? Wind farms are noisy. They mess up everything that relays on sonar. Okay, yeah, sonar. So I guess however whales navigate stuff. So that sucks. So now here we are messing with the environment again. And I'm not an environmentalist, guys. I'm not an environmentalist in the sense of the word, like the ist part. But, dude, you want a good environment. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not crazy political. But I think we should make our country as good as we can, right? We can make it great. I don't know about whatever sayings and stuff like that, if they're gonna do it. You know, I don't trust politicians in general, but I think we should make the country good. If you don't, my goodness, what are you doing? The hate for bringing it up. Well, yeah, you know, it's weird because people have that ability to just, yeah, I don't know why people would hate on you for bringing that up, fever dream, but I see that on the internet. People hate it, you know, they hate it because Trump said it, and that's just reality. I don't agree with Trump on everything, but I'm not going to hate on, you know, but I mean, I think he was the better choice for president personally. You can disagree and that's fine. But I'm not going to hate on the guy just because he says something or because of the thing he says. Listen, the devil's right about what he's right about. Like if he tells you something and it's correct, it's correct. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who it is. If it's the greatest person in the world telling you or the worst person in the world telling you, if what they're telling you is true, you look it up and it's true, it's true. It is what it is. You can't, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? You can't just say, well, it's false because this person said it, because you don't like that person, because you don't agree with that person, what they say, right? But we see that a lot. We see that a lot in our society today, and that's an interesting thing because, you know, somebody brought up 1984. And now this is why books are important, because I believe it's in 1984 that they had the Ministry of Truth. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Is it the Ministry of Truth in 1984? Yes, interesting how angry people get when you simply disagree and what we've been told with what we've been told. Yeah. You're a conspiracy theorist? Well, look, so the term conspiracy theory is something that the intelligence agencies came up with after the JFK assassination, because there were so many people that were questioning it, but they didn't have the internet, and so they only had like a couple videos, like one video to go on eventually, the Zapruder film, I think it was called, and then they had you know, eyewitness accounts, and a lot of those people didn't make it, right? Like they weren't around long after that event to talk about it. So people had good reason to question that, and they were called conspiracy theorists. So that term, it should be pretty much, you know, it's kind of like today, it's kind of like calling people racist and stuff. It's like, okay, there's racist people, there are, but just to call somebody that out of the blue, just as an insult to try to discredit them, it's like you got to look at the person on their merits, and you got to look at what they're saying on the merits. And even if the person isn't a good person, like I said, you have to still look at what they're saying on the merits of what it is. Separate the information from the person and then go check the information out. But the character assassination thing, it happens over and over again. But you see, in argument, in class, when we learn how to argue points or whatever and debate, the first thing you learn is that when people go to ad hominem is the first step to losing. Because when you start attacking the person, that means you pretty much lost the debate. You no longer have any valid points to give, right? And so, yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at on that kind of stuff. All right, let me check the chat. The truth is the truth, whether it makes us feel good or not. I agree with that. I don't think that the truth is variable depending on who you are or where you're sitting. You know what I mean? Now, we have different perspectives on reality, but that's the word for that, perspective, in my opinion, right? Like, somebody lived a different life than me. They have a different perspective. But when we both go up to a tree and knock on it, we're still knocking on wood. Like, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. And that's the truth. Yeah, you guys are talking in the chat. They make up this term to make people who question things and observe. Yeah, it's a term that like literally was come up with after the JFK assassination, which was the sketchiest thing in the world. Obviously, you know, I think pretty much 90% of people agree that it wasn't exactly the way, that it didn't go down exactly the way that they said it did. At this point in time, we can look back and kind of see that. We can kind of look at the history of the characters. We can take our time and really put the information together, and we know that something doesn't add up about the JFK assassination. So people rightfully have questions. I don't think people should be wrong to be questioning. I think people should question. You know, that's just me. It's just like the same thing as what I was talking about with the cars, like back in the day. Some dude says he's got 300 horsepower, and you look at the modifications he's got, and it's a D series engine in a Honda Civic with bolt-ons. No, you're not running 300 horsepower, dude, with bolt-ons. Even if you built it to the hilt, it's not that way without boost. You're not going to be able to get 300 horsepower. You know, and even then, you probably, you know what I'm saying? Like you're running up. Well, D series can run over 300 horsepower, but man, you got to really build the engine. You got to change the rods after 300 horsepower. You got to change the rods. Probably going to want to do forged pistons and things like that, and you're going to do a lot of other work and tuning to it. You're not getting that with cold air intake and exhaust. That's just my point. And so if I question that person, am I a conspiracy theorist, or am I just saying, hey look, it doesn't add up? It just doesn't add up. Yeah, so that's how a lot of these things go. And I think it's going to all tie in, like I said, to that dead internet theory. I'm going to look into the dead internet theory even more details about it, because, you know, that's a broad kind of a brush, the dead internet theory. There's a lot of detailed pieces and parts to it. I think some of the URLs are actually kind of degrading and disappearing. I'm not super techie, guys, so just bear with me, but some of the websites, they're not there anymore because they're the links are broken or whatever. And I don't know exactly how that happens. I don't know if it's the domain, like the host, or what. But over time, we are going to lose this information that we thought we would have for a long time. At early 2000s, I really felt like, wow, this is awesome. We have all this information available. We have the ability to communicate with one another. We're going to have, we're just going to look at things in a whole different way. But it's seeming to come full circle. And, you know, it's just like the news, right? Like I have people that, there's people that I know, and having to do with this thing in Western North Carolina, which I didn't put any information out on it myself because I'm not there and I wasn't there and I didn't see it, so I don't know. But the cool thing about YouTube is that we all know that, you know, I've followed certain YouTubers for years and years, and you kind of get a sense of who they are and what's going on, and like whether they're, you know, faking it or grifting or whatever, right? You kind of get a sense of that. And most people are just real. Like a lot of people are real. There's a lot of fake accounts, but most people are for real. And that you end up following, and that you end up, you know what I mean, just connecting with online and stuff. And so I started sharing in my community page, but also on my personal stuff and whatever, some information that was coming from people that were there, right? And it wasn't crazy information. It wasn't conspiracy information. It wasn't like the people on TikTok, like just doing crazy, just talking about stuff that can't be proved, but it was like wild. This is just people showing, like filming, this is what's going on, this is what they're telling us. Here, we're talking to the sheriff, this is what the sheriff has to say, and blah 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 blah, right? And then certain government information entity or whatever is at this place, but it is not at this place. We have not seen them yet here, but we have seen them over here. Just real information that wasn't on the level of really trying to stir up stuff or whatever. Just it was just information about how you could help different people trying to get you know, goods to certain people. People explaining like, hey look, this community is up in the mountains, they're all living basically out of this school that has a backup generator. We just need to get some diesel up there, we keep them alive for a while, and then we'll get them some food, and then we'll figure out how to do it because nobody's been up there, right? And then I had people in my own personal life give me backlash because they were like, that's misinformation, and then send me all the links of the National Guard going and everybody else going and helping. And that's true, they did. The thing about it is just you're talking about a lot of different places, and it is, there's different, there's other people are having a different perspective, right? Of course. So some people might not have seen FEMA for a long time, right? Some people might not have seen this other place or thing for a long time. Doesn't mean they weren't there. Doesn't mean they weren't there somewhere doing things. We're not saying that. Nobody was saying that. And I wasn't saying anything because I wasn't going to put my input on it. I was just trying to gather information from people who wanted to get that information out and thought that it would be helpful to get that to people who could potentially help these people help other people, right? And, you know, I got attacked for that. And then sent like 15, like a bunch of news articles and stuff like that saying like, you know, whatever, this is this information. And so I'm not saying there wasn't disinformation or whatever going on, or misinformation rather, but you know, that's certainly not what was coming from these people. These people were just saying, hey, look, this is day 3, like we're cleaning up this thing here, the water's gone down, whatever, and they were just explaining what was going on, kind of doing what the news agencies probably should do, is talk to real people and kind of get a real idea of what's going on the ground. But so some of the solutions, hopefully, that, let me know in the comments if you have some solutions to this issue of the dead internet theory. I've been going on and on, I guess, about this for a while. Gonna have to get to work here in a little bit, but let me know if you have any solutions that you could provide, that, you know, having to do with, you know, like for what we mentioned today was, I said that you could turn the phone off and go for a walk, and I think that's one of the biggest things. You could read books. I think that's a pretty big thing. And then also using discernment with the information that you're looking at, and knowing what you're looking for. Go in for that specific information you're looking for. Don't stop till you get it. Don't get distracted by all the other stuff. I think that's going to be a skill set that is going to really matter later on down the road. Just like splitting wood or anything else like that has been for a long time. This type of skill set of being able to discern information, what's real, what's not, that's going to be something that you're going to want to exercise and teach your children, right, how to do that, because they're going to get bombarded with all of this stuff. No political appointees or, you know, people being elected or whatever is going to probably change that. The tech industry is going to go where it's going to go. They've been doing this stuff for years and years. They've been building these apparatuses. Yeah, so it's going to be that way. A few loads. What is that, Fever Dream? Okay. Yep. Yep, get out into nature. Go out into the woods. Observe, you know, the cycle of life, you know what I mean? You see the leaves falling right now, and you know, you realize like there's fungus is going to grow under that, which is good. It's healthy. It's going to be good for the soil, for the biome, and then, you know, it's a cycle. The process of life, it goes on, and it has nothing to do with this. This is a step out of that. It's not necessarily working with it or in conjunction with it, and in some shape or form. I know a lot of you guys might be night owls. I'm kind of a night owl sometimes too, but you know, circadian rhythms and stuff like that are real. You know, get good rest, things like that. It's going to help you a lot. Definitely big on giving the kids sound, yeah, a sound base. Yeah, people were getting paid to protest against a zoo and shout anti-tourism. Oh, really? And that's is that real life or like a movie? Fever Dream, that people were getting paid to, because people do get paid to protest. By the way, there's paid protesters. Sure, you guys might be aware of this. My people are really smart, but paid protesters are a thing. All right, Kendra, you have a great day. I'm about to wrap it up here in a little bit anyway. I'm gonna go work. Gonna do some deliveries. Gonna do the driving daily thing, but I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a good one. Yeah. So yeah, I will look into whatever that is you're talking about there, Fever Dream animation. We'll look into that. But that's what basically all I was going to get into. I wanted to get into the updates from the drift event. I think I did that. I did in the original live stream that got cut off. I kind of went into more detail about that, so if you want to go look at that, that's good. And then talk about the dead internet theory a little bit. We didn't get too much into the details on it. I'll probably do a video where we're not necessarily chatting as much. I'll get right down into the premises behind it, but I think we got something good out of it today. And I always want to look at these things as, what is the solution to it? there's a lot of problems, you know, going back to old AJ, right? He had a lot of problems back in the day that he told us, but we didn't always have solutions. And so I was always kind of thinking like, well, what's the solution? If there's no solution, there's no real reason in dwelling on this issue. So the reason we're bringing the issue up is because I think I have some solutions, and I want you guys to start thinking of some solutions as well. Real life and Tenerife. Okay, I'll look that up. Fever Dream. We'll check that out. And so they were protesting against a zoo and shout anti-tourism propaganda. Okay. And I guess that's to scare people away or something. I don't know. But yeah, the paid protesting, that is a very interesting. There are people who are actually professional protesters, guys. So don't believe everything you see on the TV. When you see a bunch of people out there with signs, you know, shouting things that in a rhythmic way, that, like, you know, somebody's kind of organizing that, and a lot of times it's a paid protest for real, which is crazy, but it is. And there's somebody that has an agenda as to what they want to do. They want to disrupt something, and you know what, if you have discernment, if you use discernment, you do your research, and you're not thinking with your emotions, you can determine whether that's fake or organic, or a little bit of both. Most of the time it's a little bit of both. They have to get something grassroots spun up, but then they can go in and really turbocharge it, supercharge it with the you know, like a few years ago we saw that there was a guy that was live streaming from the protest. I'm gonna get in trouble, man. This is a crazy live stream for Driving Daily, but there was a guy that was live streaming from the protest back a few years back, that I'm sure you all remember, and he showed that there was like a pallet of bricks, you know, that had just been shipped in the night before, right? And turns out a lot of glass windows and things like that got broken, right? So not a coincidence. So channel update too, by the way, guys, we're at the last time I looked, my watch hours were at like 4820 something, 4820 something, or no, 3820 something. So we're trying to get to 4,000 by Christmas, so I think we'll hopefully get it. So I appreciate each and every single one of you who has watched and did watch and like the you know, the videos and all that stuff. It helps out a lot, and that support is greatly appreciated. It's not lost on me, and yeah, huge deal. I said a long time ago that this channel was a like an undervalued stock, and I said that when I had like 140 subscribers. So we're sitting over 1,100 subscribers now, close to 12, just about 1,200 subscribers at the time of the making of this video. And I'm saying the same thing. We're at the beginning. It's like a stock that just hasn't even done its run up yet. So you guys are here at the beginning, and I appreciate each and every single one of you. It means a lot. But I'm going to end the stream here. Going to go get some work done, and I hope y'all have a great weekend, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right.